Hello, friends and beautiful people. It'll be a while before I can actually post this online, but I'm chomping at the bit. And I wanted to go ahead and record this video now before I explode. And then I'll get it posted once we've told everyone about it. We have a huge announcement. We're super excited. God is good. And I'll give you a little bit of a backstory, but we got some exciting changes coming to the homestead. So, years ago, when the kids were little, we had Amish friends, and we would go stay on their farm one weekend a month. And they had 3 farm ponds. We would camp. It was just a great time of fellowship. It's actually where I learned how to do hand quilting. And it was just an enormous experience for the kids because everyone there was Amish. There was a big auction for the schools that would come, and they would auction off everything from goats and chickens to firearms to hand tools, furniture, things that they had made, and it was all to make enough money to support their school for the school year because, as you know, Amish don't pay federal taxes, and therefore they don't receive any federal tax dollars. So, anyway, I've always had an affinity for Amish. And we had gone about a year ago and looked at, in Kentucky, at several Amish farms. And we found one that we absolutely fell in love with. It was perfect. It had a shop for me, it had a shop for him. The drywall was good. I don't know if you've ever looked at Amish farms, but you either get very good drywall or you can see every seam. And it's not something that bothers them. And a lot of times there's painted plywood floors, and that's just something that you deal with when you are looking at Amish farms. And the one that we had looked at and fell in love with had beautiful hardwood floors. It was just perfect. By the time we got home, they had already told the neighbors that an English couple was looking at the farm, and another Amish family jumped in and bought it to keep from. And I get that. It's all good. So we've been praying about moving. Anyone who's watched any of my videos probably knows that. And we were sitting a couple weeks ago. It was a Friday night, and my husband walked up to me and he said, "The Lord has told me that we need to put our house on the market." We still had one project here to do, which was finishing the stairs, and we are in no way ready to move this farm. We have animals, we have all this blacksmithing, we have the steel, we have the quilt shop, we have the house, and I just couldn't see it. So what we did was, because the Lord led, we listed it on Zillow for sale by owner. And we just kind of let it perk. We were in no hurry. And let me tell you, that is worse than listing something on Facebook Marketplace. I'm just going to tell you, you get 10 kinds of crazy sending you emails, texts, and all kinds of other things. And what they do, we found out later from one of the realtors who actually was kind enough to explain how they got both of our cell phone numbers, is they actually can do a deep dive in some crazy place online. I forget where he said they got it, but they can get every phone number associated with this property. So I'm sure the people who used to live here have gotten calls also wanting to know if they would like to list with them. So fast forward, we picked out some places, and we've reached out to 9 realtors. 9 realtors. None of them returned our calls. I take that back. One of them answered, and we had some things set up with her. I'm from West Virginia originally, and we found, a log cabin in the woods in West Virginia. We thought, oh, maybe this is where God's leading us back to West Virginia. And it's one of the places I've always, in my heart, there's always been 2 places that I would like to be, and West Virginia is one of them. Take that back. Tennessee, we all have places that sound good. Tennessee, we would go down there and I would love it and say, oh, this would be a great place to live. But it's not something that just grabbed my heart and said, you need to find something here. And anyway, so that realtor set some stuff up with us, and we went ahead and picked out some other properties in that area so that it wouldn't be a wasted trip. And then the other realtors, they just never called us back. And most of them were the listing agents for the properties that we were interested in. So if one wouldn't call back on a property we were interested in, we would call, we would call another. Nothing. So finally, we get a hold of this guy, the one who ended up being our realtor, and he apologized profusely for his profession, and he said, "Okay, let me work on this." And we gave him a list of like 5 or 6 properties. By the time he got a hold of them, all of the properties, a lot of them were already in contract. It was so disheartening because, again, we didn't want to list our property without having somewhere to go, but God's telling us to list it, so we listed it. And by the time it was all said and done, he had set up, he got 2 properties that we were interested in that were available for us to go see out of what ended up being a total of like 10. So we go with him one day, and the first property, I pull up to the driveway. No kidding. I look at it, and I looked at my husband and I said, "Am I supposed to pull down that?" It was straight down driveway. And my mama always said, never live lower than the road. Never go because it'll flood or whatever. And it ended up that we didn't even go in the house. By the time we looked at the topography of the property, we said no thank you, and we just went on to the next one. And the next one was a log cabin in the woods, similar to what we were looking at in West Virginia. And online, it looked bigger than it was. We knew it wasn't huge, but we don't need huge. There's just the 2 of us. We go inside, and it is 3 rooms. It is literally 3 rooms. And what they had done, and it was Amish built. It was on 20-some acres. It was absolutely beautiful online. It was all brand new. All we would have to do was put in cabinets and, kitchen appliances, and we would be good to go. They had taken pictures of the exact same spot, but put 10 different ones on. So we get there, and we're like, yeah, this is a little small. We couldn't even fit our bed in the house, and we've got 3 beds now. No problem. We could have, gotten rid of 1 or 2 of them, but it was kind of funny. And it was a shared driveway, and we've had a really bad experience with that before, so we passed. So there was the realtor who we ended up hooking up with. We had a great time of fellowship in the driveway of that cabin. Come to find out, he preaches. So he's like a part-time preacher. He goes around. When he's not preaching, he told us the name of the church that he goes to. We started sharing our faith and a lot about similarities with some family situations, as far as, everyone knows we have a very sick grandchild. So he said, "Okay, I think I'm getting a feel for what you need." And we had told him about the perfect Amish farm, and he's like, "Okay, well, there's an Amish farm around the corner that does not fall in your parameters. There's not as much acreage as you want. Let's drive by it, and if you do, we'll try to set something up." So we are driving by it, and we pull into the driveway, and he walks over to the vehicle, and he says, "Is this something that," he said, "I see this as something that you guys would be interested in." And we were fawning. I mean, it was spotless. And we're like, "Yeah, let's set something up on this." In the meantime, some little Amish fella comes running out of a barn and says, "Well, go look at it." And the realtor's like, "No, I've dealt with this realtor before. She's going to be a little upset if we go through it now. We'll wait and get an appointment." And this guy is insistent. He says, "Nope." He goes, "This is my sister and brother-in-law's home, and I want you to go through it." So the realtor asked me, he goes, "What do you want to do?" He asked me, Hubs and I, and we're like, "Well, you always just tell her that, he insisted in front of your clients, and we had no choice but to do this. And so he's like, okay. So we went through this place. Now, here's the funny part of the story. The brother-in-law said he was going to go unlock the house. We thought he had a key. Nope. He went around and climbed in a window. Yes, he climbed through a window and opened the door. And we went in, and I've never seen Amish cabinets that I've liked before. This place just was checking all of the boxes. And long story short, we fell in love with it, and we went back for a second time. And I want to put this out there because I really do feel bad. We were supposed to go to a picnic, and this is like the third year we were supposed to go, and something always comes up and we haven't been able to go. And I felt so bad, but the way this whirlwind happened, we couldn't get there and do this and do that. And so anyway, here's the big news. We made an offer. They didn't even counter. They accepted it. And our realtor is coming to list our property here on Thursday. So the way the offer is written, they're just going to wait for us to sell our home. We do have a date set on it, but they want us to have it, and we want to have it, and it checks every single box except for one. It doesn't have a high tunnel or greenhouse. That's it. So we're excited. We're going Amish. It's going to be a few hours away from where we are now. The kids aren't going to be excited. They want us closer, and that is a drawback, is that we won't be as close to the kids as we are now. But I believe that the way all of this worked, and there's some other workings that happened when all of this was going down, and the whirlwind that happened over the weekend. I believe this is God's will, and I believe that God will make this work for all of us. So I guess some of our future videos after we get sold and moved are going to be us being off-grid and Amish. We are going Amish. All right, friends. Until next time, be blessed and be a blessing.